very well with doing shit off the cuff because,
Well, you are very creative.
well, thank you. Because honestly, what is this?
That comes with creativity.
Is that what that is?
Mm-hmm.
I listen. I was a kid that was definitely at the back of the bus doing my homework on the way.
That's a shame.
Upset, like super upset, because the bus was was shaky. My hand, I had terrible handwriting anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So
Then you should have been a doctor.
is that right? Is that
Mm-hmm.
so? Yeah,
Should
probably.
have should have studied medicine.
Uh, I don't. You know what? You know what, Doc? I don't. I don't know if I'm built for that. I'm not. I'm not a good studier. I'm not a studious person.
Really?
Not at all.
And look at you spitting facts
About yeah. Well,
randomly.
I love because I just remember shit. I just remember
But you're
shit.
not studious.
I'm not studious. No, I'm only interested in what I'm interested in. If that makes sense. So if it's a class that I'm interested in, I'm great. If I'm not, and it's like a prerequisite
You're gonna
class,
fail.
I'm struggling. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, no. I'm just not. Like, fun fact, I didn't learn how to actually measure anything until I was finishing my basement.
Like, oh, really?
I did not know how
Like
to
square footage, this, length, width.
all of that. Like cutting wood, I like for the longest time I was eyeballing that shit. Like put my like, oh, it's this long. It's as long as my finger. Like that's how I was doing it. Because it just did not make sense. And then here I am. I'm finishing my basement. Like I know the basics, and from that now I can measure. I can measure to the point where when I'm cutting wood, I account for the width of the blade for perfect cuts, like where to place the blade to make sure that I'm gonna get the exact length and how much of wood out of a board I'm actually gonna get based on how many cuts I have to do because of that width of the blade. Because all that but that was only because
You had to finish your basement.
I had to finish that basement, and materials is expensive, and you burn a few pieces of wood
Yeah,
miscutting it.
you can't
It's
waste.
like So, but now because that and sewing, because I used to sew with my mom, and so now I can measure my ass off. But before that. Fuck out of here, man. I remember in elementary school the workbooks with the picture of the ruler, and it's like a quarter and little different things on it.
You didn't pay attention?
It just didn't make sense to me. It just wasn't.
Well, you didn't have like applicable, like real life application.
Yeah, I guess that's what. Yeah, even though there was a quarter, it was like I've had quarters.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it just didn't. Yeah, it just didn't make sense to me. So no, me in medical school, shit, I barely graduated high school, barely graduated college. Like, I still technically don't know if there's a diploma in that envelope that I got from my high school graduation.
You never opened it?
No, I walked. All I know is they let me walk.
Well, they had to have. You went to college.
Yeah, you would think that hopefully they check things, right? And then college, I know. College, I do know. The funny story behind that is I waited until college math and my senior year to take college math and statistics, and that was a requirement, right? And I was hoping that because I would be a senior in my final semester, I would get a professor that would be like, all right, like look the other way, like, whatever. Because it wasn't like I wasn't going to do the work. It was just, I struggled. First day of class, the professor's like, listen, I don't care what your deal is. I don't care if you're graduating, you got a job in San Francisco, and if you do not pass this class, I am not going to look the other way. And I'm like, oh, fuck me. Like, this is not going to be good. I went to all the office hours. I went to the additional help hours, the lab. I did all of it to the point where she, like, because these were like 200-300 student classes, so they were really big. And she knew who I was because I was constantly going to get help and asking, and it just would, like, Doc, it just would not click. I had a block. Like, I wanted to be a communications major, but because of college math and statistics, I couldn't. There was 4 classes that you had to take at University of Delaware in order to get into the communications program, and 2 of those classes had a lot of statistics in it for some odd reason. Like, I wanted to be in mass media. I didn't want to do like human communication stuff, but that was the deal. You took 4 classes. The average of your GPA is what determined whether or not you got into the program to move forward. This is before I realized that, like, actually, if I had good relationships with the dean of the school, like, they could have just looked the other way and was like, nah, you can be in there, you're good. But I didn't realize that at the time. Anyway, I couldn't get those 2 classes kept me from being able to get into that major, which is how I ended up an English major, technical writing, because it was like there's no math requirement. So anyway, I take the class, I fail it. I walk anyway. I take the summer class, and it's a remote class. But so this is back in the day when remote classes basically they send you a box of VHS cassettes. You watch the courses on tape, then you go for common class testing dates. Man, that was a fucking waste. I was fall asleep watching it. It was really bad. I failed it. So then by that time I had a job and no degree technically. So I had to take classes at the continuing education thing. And it was like a Wednesday night math class, right? But here's the deal. The teacher was a high school math teacher. And so she gave points for work. So, like in the other classes, you either got it right or you got it wrong. Yeah. There was no. And I had this tendency that if there was 9 steps, I would get 8 steps right. And I would just mess up that last step. So because I got points for the thing, that's how I passed the class. And the day my diploma came was the day that I was picking up the phone to register for another math class for the. I literally had the phone in my hand. The phone in my hand, because that was the system back then. Yeah. You dial the number and you enter the codes for the class, and the doorbell rang. And it was the mailman, and he had this big ass smile on his face, and he was holding the diploma, do not bend envelope. He knew what it was. He was like, yo. I was like, I did it. I graduated. But yeah, terrible ass student. I will never look at my transcript. I will not, because I would be so embarrassed. I would never.
But you did it.
I did it, but I did it so ugly.
Still, you reached the end.
Man. So, yeah, me in med school.
You should have gone. I wonder if you go back now and you apply for.
It'd be the same.
A master's in.
Well, I wanted to go to law school at one point in time.
Mass media?
I'd really considered several times in my life going to law school.
Yeah, but law school doesn't have any math. Just a lot of reading and writing and analyzing. And
I am not a good.
Memorizing.
I am not a good student. I'm just not a good student. I'm just not. I love to learn. I'm just not a good student. It just doesn't work for me. I don't test well. I will know something cold, like just inside out, backwards, forwards, for every which way, and I will get in front of the test to take the test, and I will somehow fuck it up. Yeah, and the professor would be like putting their hands up, like, yo. Like, I know you know this. How did you mess this up? I'm like, I don't know. Can you just, can you let a brother slide? Like, because I know it. So, yeah. So, I don't know. It's terrible. It's so terrible. Oh, my God.
Oh, my goodness.
So, I wish I was a good student, because my life might be much, much improved in other areas, maybe.
You can go back to school.
For what? What am I?
I mean, if you want to get your master's, and you can do paralegal certification.
No, why? What? No, paralegal.
Yeah,
the lawyer's bitch.
Oh my goodness! They know more about the law than the lawyer.
but
The lawyer just knows how to do the argument and the dispositions and this and but the paralegal, they do the research. They put the stuff together. The
lawyer's bitch. So what does a paralegal make versus what does a lawyer?
Oh no, yeah, there's no comparison.
Right.
Oh no.
So I'm gonna go back to school
because the lawyer did the time.
Right. Well, they passed the bar, right? Mm-hmm. No, and I want to have major impact. I want to have significant impact. So, not saying that paralegals, because there's paralegals listening now, like I hate this guy. No, it's not that. It's not that at all. Because it is. They're extremely necessary. I just don't want to be like I want to have as much impact as I possibly can, and I don't think that I'm not going to make the impact that I could being behind the scenes and chugging through things. And I'm not that detail oriented. So I'd be ruining people's lives. Cases be lost because I missed this and missed that.
That is one profession. You need to be anal.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very
and
meticulous.
I'm the opposite of all that. So
Just keep it
keep it pushing. Keep doing this creative thing and all that.
Stay on the left hemisphere side.
Well, if you guys haven't figured it out, we have started another episode of the Cultured Misfits podcast. And I am here with the very, very lovely and responsible and consistent and just amazing Dr. Elsa. How are you doing, Dr. Elsa?
Good. Very, very good. Loving the weather. It was just so nice to have the sun.
The sun and the blue skies.
Yes. Finally, we have some decent weather.
And you were getting your car cleaned? Is that what happened?
Yes, I had someone come and get it detailed, like one of those mobile car detailing places. People, yep, they came to my house but they were a little bit late. But he did a great job. Did he? You
feeling good?
Yeah.
Doesn't your car feel like it runs better now? That
it's clean? And I'm like, wow.
Yo, how long did it take them?
I mean, he was just there for 2 hours, but he was supposed to be there a little bit earlier. So when he finished like exactly at 2. But 2 hours.
That was it?
Yeah.
Okay. And now your shit is fresh and clean?
Yeah.
You did interior, exterior?
Yep, everything.
Okay.
Tires, all of it.
So you're going to maintain that?
The last time I got it clean was October, so I feel like I'm not doing that bad.
But do you get it clean, washed weekly, though?
No. The last time I got my car cleaned was in October.
That's terrible.
And now I got it cleaned in April.
That's terrible. Listen, this is what you're gonna do, right? We have a number of car washes in our area that have monthly memberships. You pay like $40, $50.
Yeah, but I don't want to sit in line.
You just go. Well, you have a different kind of schedule, so you can go at different times, right? Yeah. But the point is, with that 40, whatever they charge, you can go put your car through every day if you want to. Mm-hmm. Every day. And then, vacuum it out every week or so, and then you're good. And then come on, Doc. Come on, don't do that. No? You don't care.
I'll probably, the next time, it's going to be after the summer. I'll probably clean it again around September, October. Like once we do the beach trips and I have a whole bunch of sand in the car and things like that. Because the summer, people get messy and things get sticky.
You're killing me.
I already know it.
You're killing me. You really are.
I know.
I mean, it's all right.
I know, and I have a hose at my house, and I have a vacuum.
It's less about the exterior. More for me, it's more about the interior.
Yeah.
That's the part. Like,
and I have a dog, so when he came, I looked at him. I was like, "Remember, I have a dog." He was like, and I was like, "And I have a long-haired dog."
Your dog, yeah.
Who loves to take car rides.
Yeah, so you got all kinds of air blowing around in the car when the windows are down and all.
But not today. So now I don't know how long is it gonna last until she get back in. But I bought a cover for the back seat. Uh-huh. Like you see, I bought one on Amazon, so
to help
came
with that.
in and I'm gonna put it on so that when she gets in, there's gonna be a cover.
Okay. All right. Well, that's just amazing. That's amazing. Well, I'm glad you got your car cleaned. And, we are pivoting today because we had a whole other plan. Mm-hmm. And we're going to delay that because the plan shall be executed in the most optimal circumstances. So So yeah, so I'm excited to just kind of make this shit up as we go. No, I mean it kind of goes that way anyway. I feel like
I was gonna say there's a lot of
yeah.
improv.
Improvisation. Yeah. So
Yeah, you definitely do that.
I know, and my head is killing me. I went to a winery. First time I went to a vineyard, to a winery.
Really?
Yeah,
I went to one in Virginia. It was so nice.
Really?
Last spring.
Did you buy any bottles from the winery? No, you just...
No, I just did the taste test, the little thing that comes.
Yeah. I had no idea that... I don't know what I thought. Actually, I know. I'll tell you exactly what I thought. I thought it was just a room full of people and they're swigging wine and swashing it around in their mouth and then spitting it out. But that's like for sommeliers and things like that. You go to California to Napa Valley and all that. That's what in my mind. That's what I kind of envisioned.
I've never even thought that that's what happened in a winery, but now.
Yeah, because you don't want to get drunk, right? So if you're if you're going through a lot of wines,
makes sense.
Yeah, you just want to get the notes so that you can break it down. But yeah, you don't want to swap, So yeah, they swish it and then they spit it out and they move to the next joint. So, I went to a winery and it was the really nice date. My first date of 2024. I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Because you talked about that other person.
What other person?
From the club.
Move the mic a little bit.
The other person from the club, remember?
You're right, but that really wasn't a date. That was fun.
Okay. So what?
You know what I mean?
If there is interest other than friendship or platonic,
right?
It's a date. Even friendships have dates. We're like, ooh, let's go on a date to the movies, right?
You're right.
So you can still go on a date with a friend.
Yeah, but that what happened with that, like, I literally picked her up and just brought her here. And that's what she wanted. That wasn't me being like, yo, this is what we're going to do.
So it was just a dick appointment?
More or less. Yes. A couple of times. So this is the first date since, that it was like.
This was a real date.
This was a real date.
Oh.
And I didn't know that it was a date at first because we're friends, but she said it was a date. And I was like, oh yeah, it's a date. I'll take that. I'll take that. Yeah. Yeah.
So is there going to be a second date?
I should hope so.
Well, are you going to plan it?
We're working on it.
Okay, good.
Yeah. It's hard. You know what is very hard? Challenging, right? When you are...
Because she's going to listen to this.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So now she's expecting a second date.
Well, I already said, like, yeah, we got to do this more often. Like, we've already had the conversation.
Okay,
so I wouldn't talk... Look, I wouldn't play myself. We talking about this shit. Right. I wouldn't talk about this shit if it wasn't,
Okay.
But, no, it's challenging to date, like, to transition relationships. So, like, if you meet somebody out in the wild... Mm-hmm. And like your intention from jump is dating, then it's easy. But if you kind of been cool, you've been friends for quite a bit of time, and things haven't been consistent or whatever, it's hard to know when the gear, when it shifts into a different thing. So, so I wasn't going to dare call it a date.
So there's the good thing is you don't have to act differently because the friendship is your foundation and the friendship leads.
I love that. Yes.
So that's it. Whatever you build now, the friendship will always be the
foundation,
your ground level. And anytime you walk into a building, you always go back to the ground level, right? You can go to any other floor, but you always go. And a relationship, but a relationship should always go back to the ground level because your ground level was the first thing that you built.
Do you use that in your sessions? Mm-hmm.
So people don't see it and you're like, oh yeah. I was like, anytime you go into any building, you always do G or you do 1. You can't always go to the ground level.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I agree. Which is why I laugh when people are like, we're friends. I don't want to ruin the friendship. I'm like, fuck out of here with that. What are you talking about? Like, if your friendship can't handle it, then you weren't really your friendship wasn't as solid as you thought it was.
Very true.
So, and what better opportunity is there than to potentially have something deeper with someone that you've already established, that you align in so many different areas where you can be like, we're friends.
Those are the ones that are usually that last longer.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I didn't know. I was kind of feeling like it was, but I wasn't going to think, just because of like just the ebb and flow of our friendship and even our communication and over the past couple of years. So I was like, yeah. So it was like we were celebrating her birthday, and she wanted to go to a vineyard. I'm like, we'll go. All right, cool. I've never been. She had mentioned it like months and months and months ago that she wanted to go. So we went. We were like the only two people there for like a whole 2 hours, which was
Wait,
nice.
There was no other guests?
There was nobody else. Yo, we walked. So the place is in, and actually I want to shout them out. Hold on. Salem Oak Vineyards.
Oh, I've heard of them.
Have you?
Yeah,
right. So I'm definitely going to go on Google, and I'm gonna give them a great review. So let me give you guys the address. Okay, so there's 60 North Railroad Avenue in Pedricktown, New Jersey. 60 North Railroad Avenue, Pedricktown. So in my mind, because I have a vivid imagination, right? I'm thinking like this is going to be like we're going to pull up to a building, but behind this building is going to be just fields of just grapes and vines and grapes, and like there's gonna be a long dirt road that we got to drive down, and all that stuff is gonna take us a good 5 minutes
to go
get
to
there.
Italy.
I thought I'd be this, but so I've dropped people off to vineyards in Chadds Ford, and there's other ones in Jersey, and so, and all of them are pretty much like. It's like, all right, I can see how a vineyard would be here because it's kind of rural or whatever. So this is in the middle of what feels like the middle of town, but it's not. So when we pull up, like as we're getting to the pinpoint, I'm like, damn, I think I put the wrong address in. This can't be it. And she's like, no, this is it. Look. And I look, and there's vines. There's grape. There's vineyard. I'm like, holy shit. But then there's no cars. There's like 2 cars in the parking lot. And I'm like, I know they said they're open till 9. I know that, like, that because the other reason why I picked this place is because they're open later, right? So I'm like, there's nobody. I don't think they're open. And she's so cool. She's like, nah, they're open. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay, right? So we park, and I'm like, damn, there's nobody here. For real. And she's like, nah, I like this. Like, I like it. Like, I'm like, all right, I see you're winning because you're vibing with this looks like it's gonna be a crazy situation. We walk in, Doc, it's just empty. Like, it's just the bartender and the manager.
You had the whole place. Like if you rented the place for yourself.
I should have played it that way. Like, yeah, this was the plan. I rented it just for us, right?
You know how somebody rents the whole restaurant?
Oh, they're like, yo, you can sit anywhere you want, right? Just pick your tables. And we're like, oh, so we ended up sitting at the bar. And we were there for it was actually about an hour before some other people came in. But there was never more than 6 or 7 people in there.
Wow.
And they said earlier in the day they had like a party of 100 and to be fair, the weather yesterday wasn't all that great, right?
Yeah, it was.
But I was happy that she was happy that it was just us. And I'm like, well, now this is great because now we can just talk. Mm-hmm. So the wine's really, really good. Very good, actually. And the food, they have a real menu. Because I've noticed, like, the vineyards in PA, they don't really, like, they have, like, a charcuterie.
Yeah,
thing,
they
like,
don't. It's not big. The one I went to, they actually told you can bring picnic style and bring your own food.
I was going to pick that one, too. But the weather was looking a little shady. So, yeah, I'm like, okay, this has food. And... we'll rock out with this. So it was really good. So yes, that is the jam.
That's cool. I'm glad you had a good time.
Yes, and I needed it. I've been grinding so like I'm grinding myself down to a nub. So it's just harsh. It's just harsh. So guys, going to a vineyard, a great date, whether it's a friend date, whether it's romantic date.
Whatever. Even if it's like you're by yourself, self-care.
So you go to the vineyard, self-care?
I mean,
So-
I've only been to one vineyard once, and I don't think I would go there by myself. But
Right, don't be telling the people.
I would go to a wine festival by myself.
Would you?
Yeah, like the Philly Wine Festival, because it's more of
Well, it's a festival.
yeah. So there's going to be a lot of people, a lot of vendors, and
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's fair. That's fair. That is absolutely fair. But from the wine that I drink, I still have a headache from.
you drank a lot then.
I don't feel like I did though, but I haven't drank liquor
in a while.
other than doing the shot o'clock shit here.
Yeah.
Which do you want to do shot o'clock or no?
Sure, we can do shot.
Okay. Look at that segue. When did you go to your vineyard? I mean, how long ago was it?
Like this time last year, I think it was May. It was kind of like a girls' day.
Oh, that's what you women love to do.
Yeah,
you love
we
to
do.
this. You're so whatever. Do
Are
want
you
me
going to
spin it?
the hoedown
What hoedown?
in Middletown?
I don't do hoedowns. What's a fucking hoedown to begin with?
It's kind of like country and just a whole bunch of people getting together probably at a barn farm with food, drinks, beer.
I bet you if
Music.
I Google the origins of a hoedown, it'll be some old racist shit where it's like, this is when they would get all the niggers that they hated and burn them up and hang them and then party around
Well,
it.
they've reclaimed it since Beyonce put that song out.
I am the whole goddamn album. I'm not liking that. I'm not comfortable with this country music. I initially I was like, yeah, take it back because the roots. I know the history, but I'm not comfortable with this right now because considering everything that's going on politically, right? What better way to push the conservative movement onto America than via music? And because
Very
the
true.
vast majority of country music is still conservatively based, that is just like a Trojan horse. It just hit me one moment. I'm like, no, man.
Very true. No, you make a good point.
Yeah. So let me see. Wow, before we spin this wheel, origins of the hoedown. No,
There's going to be one in May
Let's see.
in
Hoedown.
Middletown.
Noisy dance, originally the name of a specific dance, perhaps from perceived similarity to dance motions to those of farm chores, hence from hoe. Okay. All right. Etymology. So that's from etymology.com. All right. So, okay, it's safe. So I could go to a hoedown because, we just, listen, man, I'm just, it just seems like every day.
Get yourself a cowboy hat.
No.
Get yourself a little bit tight jeans with a good
I
belt.
got a lot of tight jeans.
Okay,
not a little bit.
with the belt, and tuck in your shirt and put on some boots and go.
No. Country music is generally offensive to my ear. It offends me. Like when I listen to it,
Really?
it's offensive to me.
But some of them their lyrics are so sad.
The lyrics are beautiful. No, like technically, I should love it because it's storytelling.
Yes.
And so on that end, but just like I feel like my ancestors are just twitching.
Screaming.
Yeah, they're just twitching from the horrible things that happened to them while country music was playing in the background back in the day. It just offends me. But yet, last week I turned on the radio and I hear this song. I'm like, oh, this is nice. Wait, this sounds like Miley Cyrus. This sounds like Beyonce. Oh, this sounds good. And I immediately turned the station. I'm like, I don't even want to like it.
Are you?
Yes, that's how uncomfortable I am right now with this whole country music thing. It's
all about
the money and stuff.
It's all about her. She's able to get to another market. And she wants to. And it's like Jeff, right? It's like Bezos, and you want to take over as many markets as possible because that allows you to be at the top of your game.
Yeah, and it makes sense because generally speaking, hip hop is so lacking right now. So, and every 40, 50 years, there's a transition of different style of music. So now it just seems to be country music. But again, with how the political landscape is, how the conservative movement is, and how like diabolical they are, and just taking over school boards and like just working in places you would never think to work, to secure power nodes of power. And I'm like, country music, they have us all gonna be at the hoedown. And I'm like, yeah, man.
I'm gonna send it to you because that's a nice date.
All right, I'm spinning. What are we doing? Hold on, is that what happened? Oh, damn. All right, here we go. For the people listening, I spun the wheel, but the little clicker thing wasn't in place. All right.
Fireball.
Oh, shit. Look at you, taking it back to your roots, huh?
Yeah.
Fireball.
You gotta put that song now.
What song is that?
Isn't there a Fireball song?
I'm sure there is. I can't remember.
Really, DJ?
I've forgotten more music than most people know. So, think about what I just said. I've forgotten more music than most people know. Like, that's how much music I've learned. And I've forgotten about it. So, Fireball. I'm sure there's
aren't you like number one in all these playlists and
on Mixcloud.com?
Yes,
but I'm just playing the records.
Well, that means you need to also remember.
I don't want to take that in. You know what kind of messed up person I would be if I absorbed 90%? Oh yeah, it's a lot.
You just filled it all the way up.
I did.
You're not supposed to fill up.
Oh yeah, we did. No, you got so excited about the Fireball, the cinnamon whiskey with the devil on the logo. No, I really try not to. I try not to absorb a whole lot of the music because it's energy, it's frequency, and I believe the reason why the world is as messed up as it is because we just absorb way too much negative content. So
but a lot of your music isn't negative. Most of your music is not.
What, that I play?
Yeah.
Right, because I intentionally.
Yeah, you're very
intentional about, like, I want you to feel good.
Yeah, I know you do that. Okay.
To feeling good.
Yes.
Dr. Elsa. Yes.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
You gonna have that at the hoedown? Do they have Fireball at the hoedowns?
I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to look now. I know they're gonna have beer.
Something I don't drink.
So that much I do know. I found it on TikTok.
On the TikTok. Oh, TikTok. TikTok,
and I think the two ladies who put it together have an events company, and they're two women of color.
Okay.
And they do a lot of different events. This is one of many. This is just like something that they're gonna do. So I want to go and support. And all that stuff.
I'll support in whatever way I can. I'm just not gonna be there. No, I'll talk about it.
I'm gonna have to tell you about it.
No, but I mean, if there's a way, like maybe if do you know them? Or like loosely for maybe
I don't.
Maybe you can, if you have a way to get to them, maybe we can have them on the pod and interview them and talk about it. Because just because I have a problem with country music does not mean that I'm going to stand in the way of other people's success.
Definitely.
Because historically, yes, this is the music of my people before it was taken over. So, yeah, if we can figure that out, that would be awesome. Because I would love. I mean, this is Culture Misfits. It's like the focus of this. The motivation behind this podcast is just exposing people to different cultures, one way or the other. So, yeah. So, speaking of culture, play stupid games. Win stupid prizes. This is very interesting. So the headline is, tourist mauled after rolling down window to take a selfie with bear. The quote, "I thought he wanted to be friends," the victim's friend said of the wild bear. A Scottish tourist is thankful to be alive after a close encounter with wild bears sent her to the emergency room. Maura Gallagher, 72, has been vacationing in Romania with her friend Charmania Widowson when the woman decided to go for a drive through the Carpathian Mountains. During the outing, the woman came across a couple of brown bears and did their best to get a photo with the wildlife. What happened was the bear came up to the window at my friend's side, said no problem, and no problem. It let us take a picture and went away. Gallagher said in a video shared by Scottish outlet STV News on X, formerly Twitter, Tuesday, April 23rd. So this is really just recently happened. Mm-hmm. But I didn't get a proper picture. So I went back, and it was at my side. In the clip, the injured Gallagher was seen being rolled away in the stretcher. I got to watch the video now. She said, I'm not going to be on SCTV News, she said with a laugh. Oh, it ain't funny, bitch. Sorry. It ain't funny, dumbass.
So stupid. Oh, my God.
We saw these bears, a mummy bear and a baby. They were gorgeous, Whittleson said, but they weren't gorgeous. The mummy bear was hungry and thought my friend was going to be her lunch, she added. Oh, my gosh. They shared a video of their day prior to the mauling, whining. So you see wild bears. Let's see. Oh, she said the women, forgive me, guys, because I didn't really go through this article. We're freestyling here. She said the women think that their conversation about food may have triggered the attack. Oh, they're dumb. My friend said, let's get something to eat. Widow said to the news station, no, you're not allowed to give food. Absolutely nothing. And I think he heard it and decided he had to eat my friend instead. This can't be life.
That can't be true.
It has to be true because this just sounds like it's so ridiculous. Why would anybody make this story up? She was wearing a thick Mark and Spencer jacket, and the poor bear got more of the jacket than arm. Okay. The survivor realized the outcome could have been much worse. So fortunately, her clothing did save her because the bear couldn't get through the thick coat. But they really think that these wild bears that have
heard what
and
they
understood,
said.
Bears that are not around people talking. If the bears were around people, I give it to them. Like they could associate words with certain things. But these are wild bears, and you talking about eating, and the bear was like, food. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get me some of that. So
wait, and if she had a jacket, wasn't this in the winter? Or was just this?
It was April.
No,
but she's
come out hibernating.
Yeah, and they would be hungry, and they're in Romania? I think that's I said somewhere cool. So yeah, I don't. Why would you? I don't know. See, have you ever paid attention to the Darwin Awards?
No. I know you mentioned them before.
Yeah, the Darwin Awards are basically
like how we've evolved.
Well, yes, but so for you guys who don't know, Darwin is it's survival of the fittest, right? So, for example, giraffes have long necks. They've evolved to have long necks because the giraffes with the longest necks were able to eat and procreate with other longer neck giraffes, where the ones that had short necks didn't, because as they're eating food, like their food is in a tree, and as time progresses, there's less food lower yeah. So you need to be taller in order to get to that food. And so the theory is that as there was less food on the bottom, the trees stopped growing the food on the bottom because it was always getting eaten. They were going higher, and that's it, so on and so forth. That is that's Darwin, the theory of evolution and all that stuff, right? So the Darwin Awards is people who do stupid things and die, and they're not supposed to be. They die before they procreate, so they can't pass their stupidity on to others, right? But these women are 72, so I'm sure if they've procreated and have kids, they've already passed. It's already done. It's already done. They've already tainted society with their stupidity. So there's that.
Oh boy.
Look, the moral of the story is, if you're in a place, whether you're out in the wild or you're at like Great Adventure and you're going through the safari, keep your goddamn windows up. Like,
don't trust animals.
You can't.
Yeah.
No, you can't. Like,
especially those that are, even sometimes those that are domesticated.
Listen, bears are apex predator. So if an animal is an apex predator, you definitely shouldn't fuck around with it. Like, that's just no. no. So
I'm not gonna mess with any animal that's bigger than me and stronger. You can give me a Chihuahua, I'll be fine.
yo, that is funny.
But
that is funny. All right, so we've learned that lesson. So how's the healthcare business, the mental health business for you? What's going on?
I mean, mental health is busy. I'm busy. Just phone calls. I think it's just, there's not enough of us to go around for the need.
Okay.
And it's just crazy. Either we're, referring people to other folks like, hey, why don't you call this person if you don't want to wait? I'm booking into the end of May or this, and people don't want to wait. They want to be seen now. And it's kind of like, good luck. Call different folks, try to get on, try to see first come, first serve who can, get you on their schedule the quickest. But yeah, it's
That's
a
good.
lot. I mean, yeah, it's good. Professionally, it is very good. But the fact that the need is so great is,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think the conversations that we're collectively having about mental health I'm saying problem. But it's not a problem. It is the mitigating. It is the thing, right? It is the force multiplier here, right? People have always needed the help, but they didn't get the help because it was embarrassing or it wasn't even an then people were going through things and didn't even think that it was an option to go talk to somebody, right? Yeah. Now it's actually kind of cool to say I have a therapist. And even more so to be like, I have a therapist and I see them every week, every Thursday at 3:00. Like, so now our society hasn't caught up yet to meet the demand of this change in idea and feelings about therapy. So, so for those of you who just think the world is burning, do you have people that you have? Here we go with the impromptu interview. I ain't give you no interview questions, so you're just gonna be flying up the seat of your pants. Here we go, I'm fucking with you. Do you have patients that you feel like don't need you? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they just need someone to talk to.
They just need a friend. Like it's more so they don't need all your education and all that. What they just need is a friend.
Yeah, just someone to listen.
Okay, so how long does it take for you, on average, to determine, like, in your mind, like, you don't fucking need me? And then how do you handle that?
That's a hard one. So usually by like the second or third meeting, I'm already like, oh, you just want to talk because of the way the story aligns. Usually if someone comes in for something, they're going to talk about that something.
Right.
Often.
That
like,
thing.
Yeah.
So if they're going through a divorce or if they're
depressed, they can't get up from the bed. They don't even feel like going to work anymore. They just have no motivation. Like those. And so they need help. Like, hey, how do I motivate myself to just even go to the grocery store? Because I don't even want to go to the grocery store. But then when someone comes in and they're just talking and they're like, yeah, and, my husband upset me because he didn't do the dishes. And you're just like, oh, okay. You just need someone to someone to vent. So, and if they want to keep coming back, I'm going to let them come back.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't know if they have the social supports. I don't know if they have the friendships. I don't know what their tribe looks like on the outside. Mm-hmm. And though they talk about a spouse, I also don't know the quality of that spouse. Because just because you have a spouse doesn't mean that spouse is quality.
Yeah, because there's a lot of
us. And that spouse is supported or supportive, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't want to, so if they want to keep coming back, because ultimately they're taking an hour of their day or of their week or whatever, there's a reason. And if this is important to them, I'll just keep showing up. Okay.
So, all right. So I feel like in those situations, because, you got to be careful because it sounds like you're just being capitalistic. They're like, I'm going to take their fucking money if they're just going to listen to it. Like, because it's light work for you. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm just going to sit there and listen.
I'm just going to sit there and listen.
But do you feel like
encourage them?
Encourage them. Do you feel like that with people like that, maybe there's more layers for them to work through before they actually get to the issues that have landed them where they actually do need you. Like you might be like they need you, but they're not taking advantage. They're not making good use of that time because they're talking about shit that really doesn't matter. Like they're talking about how they hate going to the grocery store, but really they should be talking about how their uncle touched them.
Yes.
Right. You know, that thing. So,
and it will come out, but it will come out depending on what the conversation they throw out. And then I'll ask like, hey, I've never heard of that person. Who's that? Or what was your experience? What was your childhood like?
That's gotta be crazy. Cause I see now I'm having a scenario in my head, right? Like you're talking like, and my boss, blah, blah, blah. And Jerry, you're like, who's Jerry? Oh, Jerry used to molest me every day after work. You'd be like, wait, what? Like, why? You've been seeing me for weeks, and you're just now, like, we should be talking about Jerry.
Yeah.
That's how that goes, right?
Yeah. And I've had people who come and talk, and then after a while, they tell me that they are contemplating suicide, but for months, yeah.
That's hard. So that highlights how difficult your job is because you can't pull that out of them. They have to bring that to you in order for you to have a legitimate shot of working through it. If you force it out of them, that's just another trauma that they're not ready to deal with. Yeah. Oh my gosh, bless your heart.
Yeah, and when they do my assessments and the way they answer, and I'm like, like, okay, nothing for anxiety, nothing for depression. Because every 2 weeks I have them self-assess themselves because, that's important.
Yeah.
And they'll answer it and you're just like, all right, well, let's see what comes up. Let's see, what stressors are at work. Let's see family dynamics. Let's see. But yeah, sometimes people will be with me for months and nothing will come up.
They won't touch on any of the thing, the thing that they really should be working on.
Or they'll say, I'm not ready, or they'll say, not now. And you're just like, okay, we'll take it slow.
Holy shit. All right. So because this is interesting to me. So speaking from personal experience of going to see a therapist, I've done it twice in my life, and it was always both times I was in crisis. I was really bad. I was down bad. And so it's kind of obvious, like, all right, all right, I'm down bad. I need to go talk to somebody, right? But for the people who aren't down bad, but they know they're not right, at what point do you think it's like in terms of behavior and how you feel? What should someone look for before they decide that like maybe I should think about talking to someone? Because we all have ups and downs in life, and so just because you're having it down for a couple of weeks, even a couple of months, that doesn't necessarily mean you need to go see a therapist, right? But if it happens a lot, then that's a different story.
So the way I see it is we usually have like different buckets, right? We have personal life, professional, family, friendship, and all that stuff. And if you kind of look at each of your buckets and how you are performing or handling or doing in those situations, that's kind of like a good baseline for you to see, what, at work, I am killing it. I am the perfect this and this. But when it comes to relationships, I don't know, I'm losing friendships, always not going out. People are calling me, but I just, don't want to go. I want to date, but everybody that I date just seems like this. And I get, ghosted. I get, people, ghosted, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like you're not having success. Right. Something when it comes to others, it doesn't work.
Okay.
Maybe family's okay, but and so I always I feel like at that moment when things are a little bit either somewhat shaky or really shaky in it, you really need to talk to someone because there's something here in this situation or in this area of your life that it's not clicking.
Okay.
There's something when it comes to your personal life that you're not handling well, though you can jump here at work and be fine.
Right.
So there's probably something in their childhood with relationships, trust, something
Yeah.
that right now makes it hard. And I always tell people, I feel like at that moment you should be like, you know what? I need someone else's insight, because why is it that over the past 5 years I haven't had any length or, any relationship or friendship that has lasted?
Wow.
Or
yeah.
that,
So, okay.
or why am I now at this stage losing friendships? I had friendships when I was young, but now, stuff happens.
Yeah. I mean, it's the evolution, right? And I know a lot of people, they struggle, and I've struggled. Just in terms of, if I think back about my social life when I was in my teens versus my 20s versus my 30s versus where I'm at now, and it definitely has changed. And, there was a point in my life where, so being social was easy. In fact, it was like actually annoyingly easy. Like it was never hard to find somebody to hang out with, do things where there was always, the social calendar was always booked. Now it's like, God damn, man, like we really have to sit back. We have to sit down and really work through everybody's calendar in order to figure out when we can do something. And then the question is, what is something that we all can do, like everybody's willing to do, right?
Very true.
And what kept me sane with, not feeling like there's something wrong with me is just recognizing that, like, people have families, they have kids, they have all these pressing responsibilities. When we were in our 20s, it was just us.
Yep.
So, but, so it would be hard. Damn, what would it look like for me to be like, I need to go see a therapist because my social life is really not working? I guess if I didn't have any options.
Yeah.
That would be, like,
or
damn.
If you want something, but it's just not coming, not happening, I feel like it's good to bounce something off of someone and say, listen, I'm trying to get here, but something's happening that I can't get here, and I need you to help me. Why? Why do I keep not getting to my destination? And that's in anything, like what there's something that's wrong.
Okay.
And it could usually mentally and emotionally.
Okay.
Because even money management is mental, right? Because, people can come and say, well, I'm struggling with my finances. I'm like, okay, then I wonder if that's something in the mind and also behavioral, because there's something there. Even that, you can go to therapy.
All right. So listen, man, see, I love this impromptu interview because I'm not on the receiving end of these questions, right? So give Dr. Elsa some grace here. So off the top of your head, what are some areas that people should go to therapy for, but don't realize that that's the thing to get therapy over? Like, so the first one is financial thing. Like, you're shitty with money.
Yeah, money management, because there's a behavioral and mental component there.
Okay.
And usually it's a behavioral pattern. Anything, even eating, right? And people think like there's disordered eating.
Yes.
And sometimes people have an unhealthy relationship with food, unhealthy relationship with money, impulsivity, right? Because you see that and you're like, oh man, I definitely need to get that. And you're like, wait, did you look at your budget? Did you see, is it allotted on this pay period?
Right. Yeah.
Like, but that impulsivity is like, no, I need to get it now. I'll handle that later.
Wow. Okay.
So because we work with impulsive. People think impulsive with kids who don't think before they act, and they're like, oh, he's so impulsive. He's always off the handle, or she's always off the handle. And you're like, so are we. Just looks different.
Right.
It looks really, really different.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. So you have financial. Any other areas?
And of course, I think there's the obvious: depression, anxiety, right? Mood instability. Like, people sometimes come to me and they're like, I don't know. Like, I wake up and I'm fine, and then a couple hours later, I don't know, out of nowhere, I'm upset, and people are always walking on eggshells around me, or people will come, I'm always walking on eggshells around them, and it's like, there's some roller coaster ride against, with the moods.
Okay.
Those are your,
Things.
anger management. I mean, I've seen people with even stress at work, how to assert themselves, because lack of self-confidence and self-image is also something we can work on. That even people who are at work don't even know how to assert themselves to their supervisor.
Yeah, that's tough though. That is hard in this culture. You know, I mean, corporate America just sucks.
Yeah, but
and, you
but
gotta
then
figure it out.
you got to still figure it out, because it's like there has to be a way, and there has to be policies and procedures set up to be able to still help and support you to bring an issue to your leadership, whether it maybe not your immediate supervisor, but then we kind of work around, okay, who's there? Okay, who can you go to? All right, who can you write a letter to? Who can you write an email? Like,
Now, see, and this is probably why I wouldn't be a good therapist, because in situations like that, based on my personal experience, I'd be like, yeah, it's just time for you to go find a new job. No, because there's a fine line between the problem being you and how you handle things versus, and you just work in a toxic ass environment,
Yeah.
and it's just not you're not working in the space that you need to be working in. Because how many of us are living lives that have been subscribed to us by our parents and the people around us, and we're like ignoring the things that we really want to do, because it's like, yo, I have to, this is the journey that I've been placed on. So yeah, I would have a whole bunch of people like, you need to quit. You need to find another job. But that's interesting. I guess, what about like sexual addictions or sexual dysfunction? Because I feel like a lot of people have a lot of sexual dysfunction.
I have both of those. I have all of those. You have I've seen more porn addiction.
Whoa, wow. Yeah.
Than anything. And there's a reason for it, right? I've seen I think the older people are getting, women and men, with the 40s, I don't know if there's a premenopausal or perimenopausal in men, but I believe there is, and there has to be a different name. But that, men sometimes come, okay, I'm misfiring, or when I want to, I can't, or it doesn't seem like I have any dick control anymore for when it comes to arousal.
Yeah.
When you want to get aroused, it doesn't. And then when you don't, you're super aroused and you're like, what? So there's a disconnect there mentally, but there's also a physical component. That's when you need all of us together, because it's like, first you need a blood panel, make sure your vitamins and everything and all your levels are fine. Like,
right.
Is your stress hormone high? Because I know that impacts women, so I know it impacts men. You need to go there. How's your eating, right? So we need a nutritional component to it too. And then also your like mental and emotional state, because all of that impacts your sexual health.
It is such a mixed bag of where shit could be wrong. Mm-hmm. It really truly is. Even like down to not taking in enough calories. Mm-hmm. And your body's like, that dog, I ain't got it. Like, you got me on a 1,200 calorie diet a day. I need 2,000. So you think my shit gonna get hard? No.
Yeah. And people just, and I think with also the people who go to see doctors more are women, but men just don't go for their physical. You'll talk to men and be like, when was the last time you went to the doctor? They're like, I only go to the doctor if I'm sick. You're like, what? Yeah. Or, I'd rather, what you don't know won't hurt you. Like, you're just like, well, if I don't know I'm sick, then I'll be fine. You're like, what? When was the last time you did blood work?
I know.
Like, do you know?
Guilty as charged.
Like, do you even know if your iron levels are low? Do you even know if your vitamin D levels, just your vitamin D in general, can mess up your mood and cause you depression? Yeah. And because we live in the Northeast where we have winter, we don't get consistent vitamin D the way people in the South do, right?
Right.
So we've struggled with it more because there's seasonal depression, which is very much of a struggle up here.
Okay.
So people need to keep all that in mind.
Yeah. Well, first, it's not even keep it in mind. It is actually understand that it's on the table. because there's a lot of things like the saying, "You'll do better. If you knew better, you would do better." And a lot of people don't know these things. Like, it's interesting that you brought up like a version of menopause for men, right? And I just joking with someone who is going through their perimenopause, and I was like, yeah, I'm sure I'm at the tail end of mine or whatever. And she laughed, and I'm like, no, like, men do have PMS symptoms. Like, we're not that far off physiological from one another. We're not that far different.
Yeah.
So if men are moody at certain times of the month consistently, so yes, there's got to be a change in our transitioning in our physiological function.
Very much so.
And it's just something that's not studied or talked about because it's not obvious as what it is for women with menstruation and all that thing. So, but yeah, a lot of us aren't just aware. We don't know.
Yeah, it's so true. And then also, I don't think your doctors talk about it because we go to our OBGYN, right? So they start talking about, okay, you're about to start feeling like this, you're at an age where this is going to happen. And they start kind of talking about preparing you. Do you want to do hormone replacement? What do you want to do so you don't have to go through the like mood swings and, the hot flashes? So we're getting those talks. Are you guys aren't getting yours because you guys aren't going. You don't go to your GYN. You don't go to a GYN and OB. You just go to your PCP.
Well, I think the challenging part is like, so finding a good doctor anyway. Like, because we think just because someone is a doctor means that they're good. No,
not necessarily.
Probably not.
So.
So if you're dealing with someone who doesn't subscribe to all that kind of stuff, then yeah, they're not going to give you that information. Yeah. And so it's not really studied. The porn addiction, though, let's back up with the porn addiction. Have you treated people with porn addiction? Okay, so you have. What do you do? What is it? What is the process to help them find a way out of it? And a person who you've successfully helped, is that like they don't ever watch porn again? Or is it that they just now have a healthy relationship and taking in a healthy volume of porn? Is it like drug, like if you're an alcoholic, like once you can't drink anymore, like because if you drink, you're gonna, or is it, how does this work? I'm so curious to know.
So it's the same thing as a gambling addiction, food addiction. Yeah, because there's a loss of control. Like you do not have self-control. There's no regulation in your behavior. So it's like something that you have to keep. That's the same thing with chain smokers, right? They have to keep going. Okay. So we see addiction in a lot of different facets. So there's something with an addictive behavior that you do have to talk about. There's something about trauma too, because when it comes to was there sexual trauma? Was there inappropriate behavior, or did you any molestation, or how was also sex and intimacy discussed or seen when you were growing up? Was it healthy or was it unhealthy?
Most of us is unhealthy.
You know what I mean? And so your first relationships, it's kind of like when people talk about how were your first 5 years of your life, which kind of establishes the stage for growing up. Yeah, because that's where the brain development happens.
You're right. Yeah.
So that's even in that, if they can remember, like, how was it even then? So you got to go first. You have to go all the way back. You can't go forward and address the issue until you go back to understand where was the seed planted, how was it cultivated, what was your environment like? And because at some point then you just kind of just did what you saw, then you made it your own. That's what it is. Then we made it our own. So we could have seen food, if we grew up in a family where everybody was like, well, we don't have enough money, eat all the food on your thing because we don't know when. Right. Your relationship with food is different growing up, and there could be some type of addiction because of that. You just made it your own. It just looks differently than when it did when you were 5 or 7 years old. Now it looks like, binging and this and that, or restriction, right? Because I think that's also, we restrict with our intake.
That will mess you up. and I like impulse control.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a parent that denies you
Mm-hmm.
anything, when you get into a position where you can have it whenever you want, you're gonna go overboard with
Mm-hmm.
it, which is why it's not good to try to lock someone away.
Yeah. And I know now, I think what's hard too, where we're seeing more of it, where before porn was on a magazine
VHS cassette,
or
DVD,
something, right?
It wasn't so easily
But
accessible.
Today
At your
we
fingertips.
yeah, so we don't know how to. Everything is so quick. We don't that impulse control. It's getting harder as it is because we don't even have impulse control to leave if we leave our phone in the car. Yeah. I gotta go back to my car.
Yeah.
I gotta go back to my car. I left my phone.
Fair.
We turn around if we leave the phone in the house. We're like, oh my God, I left my phone in the house. I can't do that.
That is fair.
Right?
But then yes. But yeah. But, all right. So you're right. I just I feel bad for anybody that's addicted to porn. Of all the things.
Yeah, I have this couple where he is, and what we did was try to use it, and she had a really hard time, and he's working on reducing it, but we used it now. We're kind of transitioning and changing the meaning of it, and using it for them to use it as a conduit for them to have more creativity in the bedroom. So let's it's kind of like with people. Let's reclaim it. Mm-hmm. Let's use it from an educational perspective. How can you kind of merge together as a couple to now enter your world? And no, she's not going to do some of the other stuff, but maybe there's a massage that you enjoy and be like, can we try this massage? Can we try this? And use it to enter into more of that creative thing with what she's come to.
It's inspiration.
And it's really helped them. Okay. Very much so.
So that's obvious. That's definitely a situation where they can't ever not watch porn.
Yeah, for them. And then there's some people, because it was so unhealthy that the addiction was kind of like alcohol or substances, that they can't do it again because they don't have the ability yet to
manage it.
Yeah. So there comes a time, and I think, we do the 12-step, there's all those, right? There will be able to be in the context in the future. Maybe they'll be able to do soft porn, or maybe they'll be able to see movies with a little bit more of maybe MA content, right?
Right.
But you got to start small. It takes time because they've abused it and they don't know how to control their usage.
Yeah. All right.
It's behavioral. And usually, if you have an addiction in one area, you may have addiction in other areas. Then we have to kind of figure out, okay, where else do you not have control? Or because then it could be money, right?
So I always question. It's funny. Are you familiar with David Goggins?
Yeah.
Have you heard of him?
Yeah, he goes overboard with that running. He doesn't even have any toes.
Yeah, his toenails, his feet, I'm like, dude, why you gotta show us your feet? Like, nah, we don't need to see all that. But
he's amazing, though. I'm not gonna take away from his story.
Well, it's funny because I had a passenger, and this was like several months ago, and somehow we were talking about addiction or whatever, right? I forget whatever we were talking about. David Goggins came up, and he was blown away because I said to him, I was like, in my opinion, David Goggins is probably one of the most unhealthy people on this planet because, granted, he has found a way to take his whatever his dysfunction is. He's put it into his physicality and health, and so the benefit of it is he's probably the most in shape person on this planet. But it is for lack of a better word, the algorithm, what he's doing, it would have been all the same if it was what he used to do, which was eating food, right? Mm-hmm. Or if he was doing drugs, anything that disrupts your ability to function. Mm-hmm. Is an addiction and a problem. Doesn't matter if maybe the addiction gets you a lot of money or puts you in the best shape of your life. The problem is that, you might be in the plus on in this particular area, but you're now in the deficit in all of these other areas. So, and he was like, damn, I never thought about it like that. I'm like, yeah, like getting up and running 20 miles in the morning, like just for no odd reason, because you're feeling a kind of way. Like it started as a coping mechanism, but now it is,
It's obsession.
and it's obsession. It's a distraction. So I kind of answered the question I was going to ask you. How do you know if a behavior is detrimental to your overall well-being? But you can go ahead and answer that.
So I always ask people when people come and kind of say, I've been drinking a lot lately, or I've been doing this a lot lately, this isn't like me and all that stuff. It's the intent behind it. Like, it's one thing if you can have one shot of glass, right? And then you're fine. You're like, but if you know that you cannot start your day or finish your day or manage your day without a shot of glass, now we've entered the danger zone. And that's with anything. Like,
right.
So if you can't, if someone calls, let's say him and says, yo, there's a cookout, like, come on, like, family's gonna be there, your grandmother's gonna be there. It's like this and this and this, let's get together. It's been so long. And he's like, no, I can't. But we haven't seen you in years. Like, then now there's an issue. Like, why is it that you can't put it down and be able to have balance?
The balance,
because
yes.
there has to be able to you have to be able to, like, still function and still be able to do life and thrive in other areas without this. As soon as this becomes, or anything becomes like, no, I can't.
So,
like, then you're like, all right.
So if anything that gets in the way of your ability to function in other areas.
Yeah, relationships, family,
work, whatever.
Yeah, work, responsibilities.
Yeah, if your responsibilities are falling to the wayside because you're putting a priority on this one thing, and it doesn't matter what that one thing is, you're in trouble. There's problem. That's basically what we're saying. So, yeah, running all that exercise and obsessive. Actually, the first person that I've ever witnessed have that issue was she was this lady. I took a leadership course. It was a week-long leadership course at Wharton. And one of the days we actually did rowing on the Schuylkill River, which I hated that shit. I'll never do it again. It was terrible.
That's typical.
It was like Philly, the end of July, middle of the day on the stinking Schuylkill River. We were frying. We were frying, and like it was really bad, right? But the instructor pointed out this lady who, like, she was on her. She had her one. One. I forget, sculls. They're called sculls. So it was a one person skull, and she was out there like every day, 2 to 3 times a day, hours at a time. And I mean, like, her arms were ripped. Like, she was in like incredible shape, but like you could just see it on her face. It's like, first of all, she was too old to compete professionally. So it's like, what are you running from? What do you that has you out here 2 to 3 times a day, 7 days a week, just rowing up and down this goddamn river? Like, I actually felt really bad for her. I'm like, other people are like, that's amazing. She's in great shape. I'm like, you don't recognize that she's broken? Like, what's happening? Like,
because the activity is a positive activity.
Right.
But if it were any other activity that just was not,
like if she was doing drugs, or she was eating food, or she was
like,
shopping, or she's hoarding, or she's having all kinds of just sex.
It's an
with
obsessive,
everybody.
there's an obsessive component. So somehow there's OCD, there's trauma, there's anxiety, there's all that stuff. And that's all real. That's all definitely real.
So,
and that's the same thing porn is. It's an obsession. That's obsessive. That's an obsessive behavior. I'm not saying that OCD and having obsessive behaviors are very different. But
right. Well, so for you guys and gals out there listening, if you're running late to work consistently because you need to watch some porn before or to masturbate, whatever the activity is, you might have a problem. If you're jeopardizing your job because you're at work watching porn, because you can't not, it might be a problem. And that's with anything. Doesn't and replace porn with
Anything.
any other activity. If you're not able to fulfill your duties in your life, fulfill your responsibilities, and function because you are putting a priority on this activity over everything else, you might. No, you definitely got a fucking
You need
problem.
to go talk to
You need to go
someone.
talk to someone.
I think anytime you ask yourself a question or something's just not right, I feel like you got to go talk to someone.
Really?
Yeah. You really do.
Give an example, please.
I mean, let's say for instance, I have this lady who is taking care of a husband with Alzheimer's, and he's, you know what I mean? Yeah. He's definitely changing, and she felt very like angry and guilty and all that stuff, and she kind of like even asked herself like, wait, this is wrong of me. Like, why am I angry? Why am I, and as something as you kind of saying, well, it's okay to be angry because your life, now you're a caretaker. You can't live your golden years traveling, right? Everything that you thought when you were younger that you were like to this point. And now this point has gone totally left field. And so everybody would kind of say, well, that's okay to be angry and to be selfish and all that stuff. But like for her, it was kind of like, yeah, no, like, why am I? And then she just came for therapy. And I'm like, this is great. Like, yeah. And we talk a lot about her anger and her, her resentment.
Okay.
Because now her life is totally different.
So that makes me wonder, I know we're dancing like we're walking a fine line here. It makes me wonder if her anger issues have always been issue. Like she's always like throughout life, she's just always been angry at the wrong shit. Mm-hmm. And this was just the situation that was so stark enough for her to be like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Because that, like, yeah, I would be angry too if my significant other. Like life dealt us this hand, especially if you sacrifice so much of your life. You didn't do a lot of things because you were planning to be able to do these things now. And you're looking back and you're like, damn, all the vacations we didn't take, all the things we didn't buy, all the sacrifices we made to have the resources that we have now in order to do all A, B, and C. And we can't do shit because he's basically a vegetable. Like, that's a great reason to be angry. Yeah. As long as she doesn't take it out on him.
No, yeah, but... So I think even sometimes when you look at yourself and you're like, wait, I shouldn't be like this, or why am I behaving this way? Because, then you can even talk, like, even though that is small for someone, right, but it's not for her because it was something that was pretty important.
Now, do you think there's wisdom in like talking to a friend or someone close before? Like, because we spoke earlier about how there's a shortage of Elsas, right? And we touched on how there are people that really don't need you, but yet they're there. Is there wisdom in maybe talking to a friend, a trusted person, before actually taking the plunge of seeing you? Or do you think, like, maybe it's better to just... Because... Like, friends are friends, and a lot of times they'll tell you what you want to hear in order to protect your feelings. Not too many of us have, like, those raw-ass friends that'll tell you when you just... Right.
See, that one's weird, because the quality of our friendships are different person to person. And right, also, we have a mixed bag of friends. Like, we have some of us have quality friends, and we have those friends who we wouldn't go to. You have to be very good with discerning who you go to. First, that's your responsibility, because if you're going to talk to a friend, you got to choose the right friend.
Yes.
And you have to choose the friend who is going to be impartial and not take your side, but be able to kind of be the judge and jury and kind of at some point kind of saying, yeah, like, you did wrong, or not. If you come to them and they're like, okay, my significant other, found out they are messing on the side, then all of a sudden it's like, no, you deserve so much better, girl. You've done so much for this person. You stuck there. You got to be really careful because you don't want anyone to sway you with your own conviction. So you got to be
or even their bias.
Yeah.
Or even their bias. So yeah. Because a lot of people struggle with the ability to listen with their ears. They listen with their emotions. And
females do that a lot.
Oh yeah,
right?
y'all, that's your thing. That's your jam.
That's where we always stop there first. That's our ground floor. And then after a while we think about it. It's like, you know what? Now that I've thought about it, you might be right or you're wrong. But it was after I already originally probably said something else. So you have to be really careful where if you go and talk to someone, there's no emotion because nobody's invested. No, right. We're not invested in you, and we're not invested in your life, and we don't know all the characters that you're talking to us about. So we got to take your word,
right, with
how you're presenting them to us.
Okay. So
we go. This is a very self-reported activity. So you are the historian. I have to go according to you, and trust that you are a good historian. Okay. And whatever you tell me, that's what I go with, whether you're not a good historian or...
Okay. So how about this? Let's talk about drugs. Let's talk about pills like Paxil and... damn, I can't remember. I used to know all the
like
names.
Prozac and...
Prozac.
Like for depression and anxiety?
Depression, anxiety, yeah. So Zoloft, Paxil... Wellbutrin, which are different drug families for different things, right? That still seems like it's relatively taboo to a lot of people. So they're cool with going to the therapist. Like they'll celebrate that, but they don't really want to talk about the fact that they popping the pills to help to help the process along. So could you touch on why it's important to at least consider using that as part of your process of getting better emotionally?